speed test. How do you choose the right outboard motor? When choosing an outboard motor for an inflatable boat, the biggest mistake is insisting on getting the one with the most horsepower at all costs. Choosing the motor doesn't start with the power, but with examining the boat you want to install it on. Good morning, everyone. I'm Fabio Portesin, and today we're talking about outboard motors. Choosing the right one is an art, but I'm sure that after following this complete guide, you'll know how to pick the perfect motor for your needs. Or at the very least, you'll have a much clearer idea. Today, we'll start with a bit of theory and then test the new Tohatsu 8 hp Mega on the water. The test boat will be our tender with a V-shaped hull made of aluminum and 3 meters long. It's a good, very lightweight hull, which is why we're focusing on the range of outboard motors. For tenders, let's get started. The general advice for powering a tender is to consider engines ranging from 2.5 to 20 horsepower. But keep in mind that from 8 horsepower and up, the structure of outboard motors changes drastically, and so does their weight. Because on a tender, weight is much more important than power. On larger inflatables, though, the engine, as we said, it's not just about pushing the boat, but about making the whole hull work properly. Tohatsu, for example, has a very clear range in this regard. From 2.5 to 9.8 horsepower, these are reliable, lightweight, and compact engines, perfect for tenders, but also for small sailboats and fishing boats. From 9.9 up to 60 horsepower, these engines have truly exceptional torque, reduced vibrations, but above all, they're efficient, because you can go full throttle while using 50% less fuel. From 75 to 150 horsepower, these engines are designed for significant hulls where power isn't a luxury but a structural necessity. Even in this range, Tohatsu maintains a very clear philosophy. Plenty of power, yes, but without overdoing it on weight and fuel consumption. For example, the 150 horsepower engine weighs a full 68 kilograms less than all the other outboards with the same power. Not bad, I'd say. We said that the choice of engine is influenced by the type of tender you have, or that you want to buy. You can't put a V12 with 1,000 horsepower on a Panda for obvious reasons, unless you want to end up in the Darwin Awards. There are 3 main types: flat-bottomed with an aluminum floorboard and inflatable keel, and with a V-shaped hull in aluminum, which weighs much less. Flat bottom without a keel, there's not much to say here. These are extremely lightweight tenders and, as a result, require lightweight engines. I wouldn't go beyond a 3.5 horsepower engine. Tender with inflatable keel. These aren't large tenders, so a small engine is more than enough. Let's say from about 2.5 up to 5 horsepower, or why not? Even a 5 horsepower LPG engine, so you can explore protected marine areas thanks to its clean and environmentally friendly navigation. As always, you'll find all the products I'm talking about in the description. V-shaped hull cuts through the waves, it's safer outside the harbor, and the ride is definitely drier, but it also requires more power to get on plane. This tender is the favorite of those who, besides just running errands, want a bit of independence from the main boat. And usually, this tender is treated as a vehicle in its own right. On its own, here, the ideal engine is definitely 6 horsepower or more. As for rigid hull tenders over 3.5 meters, I'd go up to a 15 to 20 horsepower. Always keeping in mind that for anything over 8 horsepower, I recommend installing at least a davit. Let's also clarify the difference between long shaft and short shaft hulls. The choice between one model or the other really depends on the height of the transom. Usually on small inflatables or little boats, the transom is low, so a short shaft is perfect, while on small sailboats or slightly larger boats, the transom is raised. And in this case, you should go with the long shaft. Tohatsu also offers an extra long shaft as an option. But how do I know which motor I should choose? It's very simple. The anti-cavitation plate, which is basically the fin above the propeller, needs to be aligned with the bottom of the hull. Easy, right? As I mentioned before, a heavy engine will throw the tender off balance, keeping the stern too low and the bow too high. But you can fix this issue by adjusting the trim. One thing that many people overlook is that the engine needs to be removed from the tender every time you travel a considerable distance by boat. And this is done for safety reasons. Here, weight becomes crucial. You can really feel the difference between a 15-kilo engine and a 40-kilo one. But if the tender stays in the water, or if, like me, you have a system for lifting the outboard motor, then you can go for a more robust engine setup. Let's say the tender weighs 60 kilograms, plus the engine and an external fuel tank. Add at least another 40 kilograms, and we're already at 100 kilograms. Now let's have the people on board, at least 2 more, for another 120 kilograms. Then add fuel, equipment, and we're already at 250 kilograms. If you know you'll often need to carry more people, prioritize that. So go for a more powerful engine, as long as your tender is over 3 meters. Otherwise, you'll have to settle for a slower trip, but definitely a calmer one. But as I already mentioned, it all always depends on the sea. The key is always the power to weight ratio, not to go faster, but to let the engine work without stress. The safest way to know how much weight your dinghy can carry and how many horsepower the engine can have is to check the manufacturer's plate, where you'll find all the info. The inflatable boat's engine has to start, period, and that's that. It has built a very strong reputation precisely because the mechanics are simple and sturdy. Fewer complications mean fewer things that can break. Maintenance is easy, and the value for money remains unbeatable. Comfort on a tender is often underestimated, and I'm talking about noise. First of all, a noisy engine gets tiring after a while and definitely ruins the experience out in nature. And as mentioned, it bothers those who are anchored nearby. All Tohatsu engines are designed to be extremely quiet. But if you prefer electric, Tohatsu has created an outboard just for you, the Alaris 6 kilowatts, an electric motor designed specifically for those who don't like noise and want to enjoy the peace and quiet of the anchorage without causing any disturbance, neither to other boats nor to marine life. And on top of that, it's perfect for exploring protected areas. If I had to recommend an engine that today represents the perfect balance for tenders between 3 and 4 meters, I'd say it's definitely the Tohatsu MFS8. Or even better, its Mega version, because it already comes with EFI, electronic fuel injection, but without a battery. And that helps make it the lightest 2-cylinder engine on the market. 8 horsepower is a smart threshold. You get more thrust compared to a 6 horsepower engine, right? When the load increases, but without moving into the range of engines that are too heavy. It's compact, and above all, it maintains that crucial balance between torque, weight, and simplicity that really makes a difference on a tender. The fuel consumption is truly incredible. At full throttle, that is watt, wide open throttle, the consumption is about 2.5 to 3.5 liters per hour. At cruising speed, let's say about half throttle, fuel consumption drops significantly, settling between 1.5 and 2.5 liters per hour. Remember, we're talking about estimated consumption because actual fuel use always depends on the weight of the boat, sea conditions, and trim. We're also talking about something that, at least for me personally, lets me sleep soundly at night. The Tohatsu range up to 30 horsepower comes with up to a 7-year warranty. That's not a minor detail. For the larger models, the same warranty is optional. And keep in mind, this isn't just marketing, it's confidence in their own product. But enough talk. Let's go try it out. Let's do a speed test. Accelerate. The vessel is currently maintaining a steady speed of exactly 16 knots within a single minute of travel time across the water. Accelerating again. I'm currently at about half throttle. I'm between 13 and 14 knots. Fuel consumption here should be about 2 liters per hour. We have a 12-liter tank, so that's about 6 hours of running time. quiet it is too. It's not noisy at all. Which anyways, at half throttle, this is the sound. And this is the sound at full throttle. You can hear perfectly, you can talk perfectly. You can barely feel any vibrations in your arm. Now I'm slowing down because we're entering the harbor, or rather the dock. You can barely hear it now. I want to see how quickly we can get up on plane. About 3 seconds, I'd say. Now let's try with 2 people on our little 3-meter tender. Let's try to get on plane. Let's try maximum speed and let's try cruising speed. First of all, planing. And then we're up. Wide open throttle. The powerful Nordic Nog running at a wide open throttle. Let's go back to half throttle. Here we are. Having tried both the 6 horsepower and the 8 horsepower for a long time, I realized there's a 33% increase in power, which is not a minor difference. With 2 people, everything changes. The 6 horsepower does not reach the power threshold needed to break through the hull's bow wave. The 8 horsepower, on the other hand, has enough torque to lift the hull and get on plane. As you can see, top speed isn't a decisive factor. The real game changer is the ability to plane with a load. If you're always with 2 people, if you stock up on supplies, if you bring gear, if the sea gets rough, if you know the wind is coming, all those things that come with choosing a boating vacation and life on a boat, the 8 horsepower is definitely perfect. As long as you have davits to load and unload it, because it's heavier than the 6 horsepower. On a 3-meter tender with an aluminum hull, upgrading from an 8 HP to a 15 HP means almost doubling the power. So you'll get on plane with almost any load, better responsiveness, and less time spent in that critical range between displacement and planing. The critical aspects to consider when moving from an 8 to a 15 are that the 15 weighs a bit more. It weighs 45 kilograms, while the 8 horsepower weighs 37 kilograms. Let's say the 6 HP is perfect even on a tender of this size, but we've already talked about its limitations. The 8 horsepower is already starting to be a significant outboard, and the 15 horsepower even more so. Let's say that's the maximum limit you can put on a tender like this. As we've seen together, the right engine isn't the most powerful one, but the one that creates the perfect balance between the boat, weight, use, and reliability. And if, in addition to the balance between weight and power, you add simplicity, build quality, a long warranty, and support, then you're making an informed choice. As always, share this video with your friend whose outboard never starts. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Until next time, fair winds, not too little, not too much, but just right.